Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Political Professor. Why are we friends with human rights violators? Selling them weapons of war. I've always disliked it, and I've never understood it till now. So why Jamal Khashoggi? What makes his murder so different than the thousands before him? We'll dig into who he was, who he worked for, and the person he upset enough to have him killed. We're going to talk about how Trump dealt with him, and how our current president is, well, Bidening things up. We'll go over his speech after he returns from his trip and why I think he's lying about the way he spoke to the Saudi prince. Finally, I'm going to show you the massive deals that Biden is now making with them, selling military equipment like he said he wasn't. But first, let's see what the Saudi Arabia thinks about our president. After that, I'll go over the actual transcript of his speech, and then it's time for some fun before we get into the rest. Well, I had a video ready for you on Friday, but blocked, banned, canceled, rejected, denied in all regions by request of the television conglomerate NBC, but not these channels. What is the common theme between all of these? Even Fox News? They don't criticize the Saudi government. I do. They even let Fox use it. But they use it to criticize our leaders instead of following the breadcrumbs left behind by the facts and getting to the real story, which, as you will see, I fell into the same trap and I'm correcting now. And I know weekend's gone by and it's a little weird because my Frenchy beard is gone. I'm half French and half Irish. I have the hair of the French and the temper of Irish. So seconds after my video was uploaded, it was taken down by request of the network, and I'm so glad this happened. I'm not even upset about it. Copyright law varies from country to country, and I must abide by the laws where the content was created. Saudi law is pretty specific in one area. You're not allowed to criticize the government or the royal family. So was I surprised? Not really. Am I upset? No. I could have let YouTube cut it and post the video without the skit, but I wanted to know who NBC was, and I'm so glad this happened, and let me tell you why. The incident has led me down another rabbit hole, and I love rabbit holes. That's why I can't make a video that's less than 15 minutes. Looking into NBC brought to my attention new information I missed by trying to make my videos shorter, and that's not going to happen anymore. It's going to take as long as it takes to make sure I find all of the relevant information. So you know, I know, and we all have our facts straight. You'll get a pretty good idea of where I stand on the issue by the end or even midway through the video. And I thought about changing it, but I'm not going to. And here's why. I want you to see what I think open-minded really means. And a big part of that is not being right just because you want to be right. It's being right because it is right. When you find new information, it's okay to change your mind. That's perfectly fine. But what's not okay is standing by your decision to continue believing what you did before the new information was received just because you want to be right. And finally, I found something to agree with President Biden on. I've been worried because I want to give you information and let you decide. I don't want to force my opinion on you or make biased content because you can just turn on a TV for that. NBC launched in London and moved to Dubai in 2002. They are now making a play for Hollywood with two big A-list English-speaking movies. But before we get into that, let's go over who owns it and how they got it. Since 2018 and the infamous so-called corruption crackdown saw many members of the Saudi business and ruling elite detained under orders of the new Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The NBC group has been in government hands ever since. The company's founder and chairman were among those caught up in the crackdown, and it's widely reported that he was only released after giving up 60% ownership of his company to the government. So the Saudi prince took the company by force. This is the same year Jamal Khashoggi, the journalist who served the Saudi family for a long time and was seeking asylum in the U.S. after the prince rose to power, was lured into a Saudi embassy in Turkey and murdered by Saudi government agents. Guess who ordered the murder? I'm going to make a video on Khashoggi and Prince Salman because there is a lot more going on here than human rights violations. He was more influential than the king himself before he rose from third in line as deputy crown prince to being second, and you'll see what I mean. Apparently, the Khashoggi family has been close to every leader since King Aziz founded Saudi Arabia in the 1930s when Jamal's grandfather was the king's doctor. And after that, it was reported his uncle was a gun runner for the next king. But in 2018, maybe even 2017, there was a shift of power. And I want to know more about that because that's a rabbit hole. And remember, I love those. Now we know who owns and controls the network and how they got it. And what does that mean for me? Well, I guess I get to say that the Saudi government took my video down. But what about those 2 Hollywood movies? Well, one's called The Desert Warrior, stars Anthony Mackie, Aisha Hart, Charlotte Copley, Ben Kingsley, and comes from writer-director Rupert Wyatt, who did Rise of the Planet of the Apes. It's the biggest film production ever filmed in the country, and according to IMDb, they are filming it right now, and it's scheduled for release this year. Another movie, Kandahar, is a CIA thriller starring Gerard Butler. They are done filming, and it's in post-production phase right now. Whatever movie I saw him, Mackie, Hart, Copley, and Kingsley in last will definitely be staying that way. And there I go again. I'll forget my opinion, but I mean, look who they're working for and with. Well, I might as well go all in. I support and stand by President Biden's decision not to deal with the Saudi prince. But using logic backed by some facts and not opinion, I do not believe Biden spoke to the prince the way he did. And I think he's playing it up a little. And honestly, I probably would too. He faced a lot of criticism for going there. But on the other hand, he chose to go there when he could have been helping open 5 fineries in the U.S. here at home that have been shut down. And one of the largest is in Texas. That's why people say he should have gone to Texas instead of Saudi. But bringing up Khashoggi's murder first, claiming he told the prince that he doesn't believe him, calling him a liar to his face, and then asking him for oil? That's a little hard to believe. So this is where the skit would have ended, and we begin going over the rest. But first, I want you to watch out for a series I'm calling Rant, Rave, Tirade, and Bluster. This is my solution to making shorter videos and getting out some of my frustration about information I learn as I continue to make content. Let's go over the transcript of Biden's speech from whitehouse.gov when he got back from Saudi, and don't worry, I'll make it quick. And then I have some fun, which of course is making fun of Biden and his speech. Oh, and back to my Frenchy beard. So here's the official transcript of that speech that we're going to see, and I'm going to make fun of right here at whitehouse.gov. We'll pop through everything real quick and show you what I mean. Maybe he's referring to a different country here because maybe some of you dig dugs can find it, but I couldn't find it. That Biden has never been to Saudi Arabia. And here we are at the end where he talks about Khashoggi. So, like I said, I don't think he brought it up first thing at all. Maybe at the end, but yeah.
With respect to the murder of Khashoggi, I raised it at the top of the meeting.
No, you didn't.
Making it clear what I thought of it at the time and what I think of it now.
Yeah, now that you're back home, I haven't seen you fist bumping anybody.
So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see.
And it was exactly, I was straightforward and direct in discussing it. I made my view crystal clear.
Can't even talk to us crystal clear.
He said he was not personally responsible for it. I indicated I thought he was.
No, you didn't.
He took action against those who were responsible.
Right.
And we then I went on to talk more about how that.
And then we went on to talk about the somebody turn the teleprompter off? Come on, guys. I mean, how do you expect me to keep all my lies straight?
Dealing with any opposition to or criticism of the Saudi administration in other countries was viewed as, to me, a violation of human rights.
What? What does that even mean? I listened to it over and over and over again, and maybe I'm just tired or dumb, but I don't get what he just said.
President Trump has not punished senior Saudi leaders. Would you?
Yes, and I said it at the time. Khashoggi was, in fact, murdered and dismembered, and I believe in the order of the Crown Prince.
See how crystal clear he is? He believes in the order of the Crown Prince. I know he meant by the order, but that's not what he said.
We were going to, in fact, make them pay the price and make them, in fact, the pariah that they are.
What I don't understand is how come it's just Khashoggi? Why is it only him? There's been so many American human rights activists that have been locked up without trial, without being able to contact their families, without being able to have an attorney. Here is Khashoggi's background, okay? This is from the New York Times. He had a successful career as an advisor to and unofficial spokesman for the royal family of Saudi Arabia. That was his career. So why Saudi? Torture is used as a punishment. Courts in Saudi Arabia continue to sentence people to be punished by torture for many offenses. Executions are on the increase. Saudi Arabia is among the world's top executioners. They don't have any free speech. Dozens of outspoken activists remain behind bars. Women and girls remain subject to discrimination in law and practice, with laws that ensure they are subordinate to men. Scores of people have been arrested and detained in pretrial detention for 6 months or more, which breaches the kingdom's own criminal codes. Detainees are frequently held without means of communication during their interrogations and denied access to their lawyers. Some human rights activists have even been held without charge or trial for more than 2 years. Religious discrimination is widespread. Members of the kingdom's minority continue to face entrenched discrimination that limits their access to government services and employment. Saudi Arabia authorities continue to deny access to independent human rights organizations like Amnesty International, who I'm reading from right now, and they have been known to take punitive action through the courts against activists and family members of victims who contact them. Homosexuality and being transgender is widely seen as immoral and indecent activities, and the law punishes acts of homosexuality or cross-dressing with capital punishments, fines, public whipping, beatings, tortures, vigilante executions, chemical castrations. Why do we send them weapons? Why do we send them money?
They're buying hundreds of billions of dollars worth of things from this country. If I say we don't want to take your business, if I say we're going to cut it off, they will get the equipment, military equipment and other things from Russia and China. Russia and China would be very, very happy because right now we're doing very well against China. We're doing very well against everybody, including Russia. And I'm going to keep it that way. And I'm not going to tell a country that's spending hundreds of billions of dollars and has helped me do one thing very importantly, keep oil prices down. Right now, we have oil prices in great shape.
Whether presidents can control gas prices, it actually depends which president. President Trump harangued Saudi Arabia in 2018 ahead of those midterms, demanding that they increase production, and they did. They increased production.
Then 2 years later, during a pandemic, Russia and Saudi Arabia are saturating the market over a disagreement. He tells them to knock it off to save our oil industry, and they do. I'm not trying to say Trump was all perfect. What I'm saying is Biden isn't getting it done.
I'm not going to destroy the world economy, and I'm not going to destroy the economy for our country by being foolish with Saudi Arabia. So it's about America first, yeah.
Just the fact that he was speaking to King Salman is itself interesting because Biden has vowed not to speak to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, saying that the Crown Prince is not the actual ruler of the country. He's the de facto ruler of the country. MBS wants very much to speak directly to Biden and to be treated as the head of state. Biden's refusing to do that, speaks with King Salman instead, pushes Salman then to increase gas production, and Salman tells him no, probably following the orders of MBS.
And on Saudi Arabia, I would say, we've made clear from the beginning that we're going to recalibrate our relationship. And part of that is going back to engagement counterpart to counterpart. The president's counterpart is King Salman.
So have you ever felt betrayed?
They have critical self-defense needs, and we will continue to work with them on those, even as we make clear areas where we have disagreements and where we have concerns. And that's certainly a shift from the approach of the prior administration.
You just say, unlike the previous administration, Biden sold them what?
And I would also, as pointed out, I would end the subsidies that we have, end the sale of material to the Saudis.
All right. So your administration in 2021 sold 280 air-to-air missiles valued at up to $650 million. You didn't say how much you paid. You just say how much they're valued at. That's interesting. Well, let's see if we do better in 2022. Oh, it looks like we graduated to the billions this time. $5 billion in missile defense. Defense. How the hell are they supposed to fight Iran with defense missiles? Well, I'll tell you what, Trump sold them.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to have the Crown Prince with us, a big purchaser of equipment and lots of other things, and one of the biggest investments in the United States is...
I think it's important to note here that Jen Psaki said Biden wasn't willing to meet with the prince, and he only wanted to meet with his equal, which was the king, and then was denied anyway, probably by order of the prince. So something's strange there in that the prince seems to hold more power than the king. And this is from the White House archives. He got the king and two princes to come to the White House. I thought that was interesting. It's also interesting that even when MBS was deputy crown prince, he's still the one speaking to the president and making deals.
Some of the things that have been approved and are currently under construction and will be delivered. If you look in terms of dollars, $3 billion, $533 million, $525 million. That's peanuts for you. Should have increased it. $880 million, $645 million, $6 billion. That's for frigates. $889 million, $63 million. And that's for various artillery.
All right. I know you didn't come here to listen to a Trump powwow. I cut this down as much as I could, but this meeting underscores the importance of staying friendly with Saudi Arabia in several very significant ways. So stick with me for literally one more minute.
Some of the things that we're now working on and that have been ordered: THAAD system, $13 billion. Hercules, great plane, $3.8 billion. The Bradley vehicles, that's the tanks, $1.2 billion. And the P-8 Poseidons, $1.4 billion. But we're getting a $700 billion military plan this year, and $716 will be next year.
Okay, so that's a lot of money and jobs. What else?
And they're also footing a big part of the bill for defense, the whole Middle East. We know what's happened in the Middle East, and it has not been a pretty picture for the United States or for anybody.
Yeah, that's true. Because right after 9/11, I spent some time there myself in Pakistan and Afghanistan.
We've captured close to 100% of the territory held by ISIS. Coming to an end in that part of the world is coming to an end. And we'll be able to get out of certain areas that we've wanted to get out of for a long period of time. And other countries can handle it. At this point, they'll be able to handle it.
We were over there fighting for long enough that my son could have enlisted in the same war that I was in.
And as you know, Mr. President, from day one, to tackle $200 billion US of opportunity in the next 4 years, but it ended up with $400 billion US of opportunities.
Initially, it was $110 billion. I started negotiating at $200 billion and ended up at $400 billion. Say what you will about Trump, but he is a good negotiator.
And also the implementation overall in the $400 billion US. We planned this for the next 10 years.
Starting to see now, it's not just about money and jobs. It's also about a 10-year commitment to take care of a shitty region full of terrorists.
To be sure that we've tackles all the opportunities and achieve it, and also get rid of all the threats facing our both countries and the whole world today.
Well, that's right. And, one thing that you have been really focused on is the terrorism threat and the funding of terrorism.
And the final crucial point, because this happens all too often.
There will be no funding. We have a zero tolerance for the funding of terrorists.
Areas where we have disagreements and where we have concerns. And that's certainly a shift from the approach of the prior administration.
Right.
We had 56 countries, and we talked about terrorism and the funding of terrorism, and it will not be allowed. It will not be allowed. That would be the one thing that would end the relationship with any countries.
And that's certainly a shift from the approach of the prior administration.
I think there's a very big focus on that, the funding of terrorism, meaning it's over. I just want to thank you, and I want to congratulate you on everything. Thank you very much.
When you find new information, it's okay to change your mind. I support and stand by President Biden's decision not to deal with the Saudi prince. So this is from whitehouse.gov, fact sheet from the meeting on Biden's trip over there. I'm just going to go over the key points that he achieved, where he was successful in. We're removing peacekeepers from Tehran Island, opening Saudi airspace to civilian aircraft flying to and from Israel, sustaining the UN-mediated truce in Yemen, support for PG2, which is infrastructure, new bilateral framework for cooperation on 5G and 6G. Yep, that's important communication. And new cooperation of energy security, which is a fancy way of saying that he got them to increase their production of oil by 50% for July and August. And he talked about the need to decarbonize the global economy and achieve net zero emissions. Yes, he went to Saudi and talked about global warming. Says he underscored human rights, talked about cybersecurity cooperation, cooperation in space exploration, public health cooperation, enhancement maritime security cooperation, integrated air defense cooperation, and that's it. No, not even a mention of Khashoggi. But somebody brought it up.
Jamal Khashoggi, will you apologize to his family, sir?
President Biden, is Saudi Arabia still a pariah? President Biden.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't be accepting any invitations to Saudi embassies if I were those two. Which begs the question, why did Khashoggi think that he would be okay to go to a Saudi consulate where Turkey doesn't even have permission to go inside the embassy? And it's just weird.
The Biden administration was hoping that it could somehow reinstate the nuclear deal with Tehran. However, Iran has made demands which Washington is not keen to accept. Negotiations between the two sides have hit a dead end, and the US now wants Iran's rivals, Saudi Arabia and the UAE, to get armed to the teeth.
Well, that sounds a little bit familiar, doesn't it?
So meanwhile, foreign policy is staying the same. We're sending plenty of weapons to Saudi Arabia. We're backing the war in Yemen. We're calling it defensive rather than offensive. It feels like the American public is getting the worst of all worlds here, no?
So we've just let our foreign policy go to shit. China's threatening us. Russia's threatening us. Iraq won't give us oil or deal with us at all. And Iran is misbehaving again. That's wonderful. Let me know what you guys want to hear or want to discuss in the comments, because this is me providing you with information. Until next time.